What is up, everyone? JD here. I hope you're doing well today. We are going to be looking at my Vero Engineering Synapse XL. Finally got the variant that I wanted. Let's get into it. Really excited to bring this one to you. I am in love with this combination. I've been trying to find the XL in the marbled carbon fiber belt satin finish for a long time, and I was finally able to get it firsthand direct so I could get exactly what it is that I wanted. Let's go ahead and do some size comparisons. First, we're going to bring out the Elementum 2 button lock. As you can see, this just dwarfs that, and it's actually going to be even bigger, or still bigger, than the Praxis, which is a large budget knife. Pretty impressive size. I know what you're thinking, but hold on, let's keep going. Moving these two out of the way, we're going to go ahead and bring out the Demco AD 20.5, and we're going to bring out the Spyderco Shaman. Yep. Even bigger than the Shaman. Not by much though, to be fair, but a little bit bigger. Let me go ahead and move the AD 20.5 out of the way. We'll bring the bug out here, and we'll go ahead and move the Shaman out of the way, bringing out the ProTech Mordax, which is the other size comparison knife that gives you a little bit of a larger size reference. As you can see, there is no denying it is a very large knife. Let's go ahead and do some thickness profile comparisons. And I'm going to switch sides because everything's on the right here. As you can see, it is definitely thicker than the Mordax. That was pretty quick. Here it is against the Shaman, thicker than the Shaman. And then here we go against the Praxis. Closer to the Praxis, a little surprising, don't you think? Thicker than the other two, but not as big of a difference from the Mordax to the, not the Mordax, the Praxis to the Synapse 2 or Synapse XL, coming in at 5.6 ounces. So it is definitely over that 5-ounce weight, but I love the knife. I don't care. Let's jump into why. So I love the aesthetics. First and foremost, I just love the way that this looks. I love the clean lines. I love that even closed, you don't have anything that sticks out. It's nice and compact and tight for such a large knife. Ergonomically, very nice. I got tons of space. As you can see, I'm all spread out on the handle. I got plenty of space in the back, plenty of space in the front. If I'm going to be doing any type of poking task, I can move these two fingers into the choil, and then I can take advantage of the jimping back here. Or if I need to, I can just gorilla grip, make my puncture, and then I can move up and do my controlled push cuts. Really like that a lot. For a big knife, it's nice and thin. This thing is very slicey. Just like the other Synapses that I've encountered, whether it's the Synapse or the Synapse XL that I owned two of those. I had a micarta and a red carbon fiber variant, and they're very slicey for the size. It's not a huge blade stock. It is a little thick, but it's not, it's not enormous. Let me hold on. It's not enormous, and I want to make sure I'm not bumping the two of these. It's not an enormous difference from the Shaman to the Vero. It gets a little bit thicker back here on the Vero, but it's not a huge difference. Nice tall flat grinds on them too. Got a swedge out on the tip for the Synapse 2 or Synapse XL. I don't know why I keep saying the Synapse 2. The Synapse XL. Titanium backspacer on the Gen 3s. They ramped them down, which does help. You feel that it's there, but before it just ramped up and it was legit poking in the hand. So that's a nice change. I'm glad he listened to the feedback on that. Good retention too on here. Goes in and out of the pocket well. Doesn't leave too much hanging out. So when you go all the way up to here, you have about that much hanging out. Not as much as a deep carry pocket clip, or more than a deep carry pocket clip, but it's not that bad is what I'm saying. When it goes in, it doesn't leave too much hanging out. And I think I'm like right on the line, but my fingers are curving, so I don't have anything super flat out here that I can reference. You have a opening slot for the reverse flick and the really low profile flipper tab that I love on these knives. I love that it's really hidden, and then it has just that milling there so that you can kick it out. I often wonder if he could make these any thinner, but I think because they're contoured, I don't know that he can, but that contouring is what helps it feel so good in hand. It is thick, overall thicker than the other knives, barely a little bit thicker than the Praxis, but that contouring is what helps it feel so comfortable in hands. So really loving the ergos on this. The belt satin finish, what else can I say? It is very thin, very slicey. It came with a good edge from Bestech. They did a great job on this. Nice and sharp from the factory. I'll probably keep this edge for a while because this is not a knife that I'm going to be grabbing to break down a ton of boxes. I usually grab my Shaman, my Mordex, my Ace Grand. I usually grab those for long periods of cutting. And also part of the reason for that is while I do feel this and it isn't sharp, you know, if I'm breaking down a bunch of boxes, I think eventually that is going to be a little bit of a gripe that I have with the knife, is going to be that pocket clip. Because when you look at the Ace Grand, the wire pocket clip on here is really short and it just barely comes up enough for you to have that space to clear the pocket. But because it's all round, there's no edges. So it's very comfortable to like hold this really snugly and go through a bunch of boxes. And honestly, if I have a ton of boxes, I don't have it out here, but I'm probably gonna grab my box cutter. Not this one. I have like the Milwaukee style, but I think it's like Heart, which is Walmart's brand. If I have that many boxes, I'm probably going to grab a box cutter because that is honestly and truthfully going to go through all those boxes. If it's that many, it's going to go through them the easiest. Like there's no drag resistance. It's all edge on something like that. The action on these are really, really good. These are 6mm bearings in the pivot, 1/16 ball. So I am going to disassemble this. When it came in, I disassembled it immediately. So I should have that video coming out. If I do this correctly, you'll see the unboxing where I unveil that I got this. Actually, it's staged right now on the PC. I'm doing edits on it. So that'll come out first. Then before I do the disassembly where I installed the skiffs on this, you'll see this review. But I've actually already did the disassembly, obviously, because the skiffs are in here. Because I just wanted to get it before I did any, you know, before I did any tracks or anything like that. But truth be told, I've handled plenty of these on the factory bearings from Bestech, and they're buttery smooth. They're buttery smooth. The only thing that I could probably say is you're not going to get as much dirt and debris caught up with, or well, it's going to be debris. I don't know how much dirt would actually even fit between the scales and those bearings, because I believe the opening facing the scales, which are flat, but there is a little bit of clearance. So potentially you could eventually see those get gummed up and dirty, versus these, because they're solid, are going to keep it a little bit cleaner, a little bit longer, but they're very smooth from the factory is my point. Alternative recommendations. I mean, if you don't have the money, I will say that the Tau feels very Vero-like. I don't think that they stole the design. I just think it's very similar. These are flat scales with a lot of milling going on, not knocked down on the edges. The drop point's a little straighter, and it's not as thin. Where the swedges on the top, you have it knocked down here, but it actually gets thicker out towards the tip. And yeah, it's definitely, surprisingly, the Synapse XL is thinner behind the edge. You don't have this large cutout here either like you have on the Vero, and the Vero is very distinct because of that, but also because it's chamfered all around the edges. So this is going to be a thinner feeling knife in hand, and honestly, this could be a good alternative option because it is also M390, but if you don't like the size, and if you don't want the reverse hole on it, you want the flipper tab and the front flipper that make this a little bit different. But this is going to be where I wish that the Synapse landed, and then I wish the Synapse landed as a Synapse Mini, and I wish the Mini was the Micro. So I wish there was an in-between size. And you know, I love this knife, and if it's too big for you, and if you know the price is too high for you, for around 200 bucks you can get that Tau from Kungwu with a really good heat treat. It's a really easy recommendation to make. The other alternative I would probably make for a drop point button lock USA made is going to be the Mordax. Now I did send mine out to BGM, so an extra 60 on top of that to get it exactly how I wanted, which is super thin and slicey. Or you can go out and get yourself a Shaman, and you really don't even need to upgrade the scales. I did the skinny scales in titanium from Rip's Garage Gear, but you could get aluminum from Applied Weapons Tech for like 50-60 bucks before inflation. I don't know what it is now, and you could make your ideal setup. And you're going to be spending about $230 for the knife versus this being $375 to $395. I don't remember the exact price. I'm sorry. Somewhere in there, $75 to $95, somewhere in that price point. By the time you put titanium on here, you're going to be still around that same price. Still going to be around that same price. But I love the Vero design. I love the size of this knife. And Best Tech did a really good job. So easy to recommend this one, even if you want the regular size. Very fidgety, really good action. Build quality is really good. I like the knife a lot. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this one. Shout out to everyone out there leaving likes, comments, and that is subscribed. I appreciate you. I hope you all have a fantastic week. And until next time, peace.